Hello, my name is Yaya. Thank you for tuning into Trauma and God. Let me say that what happened to you was not your fault. I know personally that healing from the black cloud of trauma is possible, but it takes time. Just as in nature, there's always sunlight behind a dark cloud. So it is for us. God is light and He's always there. We just have to find Him. In this series, I'll talk about things that hinder us from finding the light and things that we can do to help us overcome obstacles. Today's topic is emotions. The other day, I was feeling overwhelmed by my emotions. I had work to do, including writing another vlog. I couldn't decide the subject matter of my vlog, so I sent a text to my husband about my stalemate, and I got a reply suggesting I might like to tackle the subject of the appropriate expression of anger. Well, I shot back an instant reply, asking him if I'd been inappropriately angry with him. To which he said no, he just thought it was a neglected area that needed to be discussed. So I quickly had to send a "I'm sorry for my defensiveness" text. It served as a great example to me of how easily my emotions still turn to self-protection, even when there's nothing I have to protect myself over. Emotions, we can't live with them, and we can't live without them. Our emotions make up who we are, how we think, how we feel. We all have them. Healthy emotions are intended to equip us with good social skills, which in turn guide us to negotiate life well. The trouble is, some of us have grown up in a home where emotions were stifled or inappropriately expressed. Stifled or inappropriately expressed emotions make us go through life poorly and often alone. Why do we need healthy emotions? Well, we were made to live in community. We were not made to live poorly, isolated and alone. For 5 years, or almost 5 years, I was a teacher's aide in a class of 5 to 8-year-old children, most of whom were on the autism spectrum and had limited or no verbal skills. These children operated as if they lived in their own 3-foot bubble. They were totally engrossed in their own needs and wants and completely oblivious to anyone else. To put it mildly, they were very antisocial. They were also hypervigilant. They were aware of the tone of teachers' voices, the look on our faces, every movement and gesture that we all made as teachers. These children already knew they were different to other children, and they carried with them their own trauma from this knowledge. You can imagine that on the children's first introduction to our classroom, their stress levels were very high. It was not unusual to have emotional meltdowns, screaming, crying, throwing things, kicking, running away, hiding. Until we got to know the child's character and their lives, it was a bit of a guessing game at times for us to know how to help each individual one specific to their needs. Well, if one of us got it wrong, the resulting tantrum affected the whole classroom. But if one of us got it right, we breathed a collective sigh of relief because the whole classroom remained calm. It was our job to teach the children basic skills, not only their letters and numbers, but also foundational socializing skills. This included giving them the correct word to use to describe their current feelings. One way we did this was to show them illustrations. We had a blue face for a sad feeling, a green face for a calm feeling, a yellow face for a silly moment, or a red face for, I guessed it, angry feeling. When they got emotional, and because they lacked the verbal skills to remember, we would ask them to point to whichever picture fitted their presenting emotion best. Of course, at some point, we wanted them to verbalize it too and say, I am feeling. Well, the greatest moment came when they spontaneously, without needing to look at the picture, would say, I am feeling, and express their own emotions. Well, was it difficult to teach these children on the autism spectrum the words for their emotions and also social skills? Yes. Did it take a while for them to understand? Oh, yes. Did we have to repeat the same lessons over and over again? Yes. How do you think they felt when they could tell us what was going on inside their heads? Well, it's obvious, really. They were much happier, calmer, and more relaxed. We didn't stop there, though. We also taught them that it was never okay to hurt others. We taught them that in the moment when they felt overwhelmed, they were to take deep breaths and slowly breathe out. We taught them to say help please when they were stuck. We taught them to take a break in the quiet room or say space please when they felt overwhelmed and needed time alone. Now let me describe how trauma can leave its mark on adults like us. Well, we become hypervigilant. We are very aware of the tone of people's voices, the look on their faces, every movement and gesture they make, in case we have to run, hide, fight, or freeze. Does it sound familiar? It's the same for us as it was for the children on the spectrum that I was teaching. Now, I wish an elementary school teacher had taken the time when I was a child to teach me how to put the right words to my emotions and had given me helpful suggestions on how to regulate myself. But it is what it is. I didn't have that. But just know that whatever your age or background, it is never too late to start to learn how to handle your emotions well. Let me tell you how it was in my house growing up. When it came to expressing my emotions, I got no helpful advice from my mother. When I did try to express my feelings, my mother had a way of twisting my words around. She would insinuate. She was never direct in her speech. She would insinuate that I was feeling the exact opposite of what I was trying to say I was feeling. And it always ended up with me being called a liar when I disagreed with her. Then, when I was left with a very confused expression on my face, she said I was angry and I was bad because I was always angry and I had to stop being so angry and so bad. To which I would try to defend myself and say, but I wasn't angry. But Mother never let up because Mother was always right. the more she pressed me to admit that I was angry and a liar, the more frustrated I would become, and at some point, I became angry. So you see, Mother always won, and I always lost. Mother was either the victim or the hero of her story, but she was never the wrongdoer. I'll be addressing this more in future vlogs. Now, when my father came home from his tours abroad, he would want us to do something together as a family. It sounds like such a good thing to do, right? But in reality, the game he played, he thought was so very funny. I did not. He would tickle me and sit on top of me and tease me until he made my emotions run high. And I would end up screaming and crying. And he then punished me severely for being out of control. Again, I ended up very confused. I couldn't understand why I reacted so badly to his teasing when he thought it was just funny. He even told everyone else to laugh at me because I was so funny. But why couldn't I get the humor? Father, like mother, was either the victim or the hero of a story, but never the wrongdoer. And I'll be talking about him more in a future vlog. Well, I ended up living in a constant state of mixed emotions and confusion. On the one hand, I was being taught to double guess and doubt myself, and on the other hand, I fought hard to try and trust my emotions. I clung to the belief that it was important to express myself, which was exceedingly difficult to do when my parents constantly berated me and told me that the opposite was true or laughed at me. So you see, I never knew what healthy emotional responses looked like. You can only imagine that when I got married, I was not easy to live with. I responded to my husband in the way I had responded to my parents. I was hypervigilant to criticism. I found it hard to understand teasing, and I hated playing games. When my emotions ran high, I felt trapped and vulnerable, and I screamed and lashed out. I was, in effect, living alone in my own 3-foot trauma bubble. Well, at some point, my husband said that my behavior had to change, and I quite agreed with him. I knew that it was over the top, as they say. I did stop lashing out at him, but I didn't know how to change my reactions, and I still lacked the right words to express how I felt. What does doing the right thing and expressing my emotions in a healthy way look like? I set out to learn. I watched couples at church whose behavior I admired and noted how they spoke to each other, and I thought, oh, I want to be more like them. I took lots of notes. I prayed a lot. I asked God to help me do the right thing. I read many books on the subject of relationships and emotions. I talked a great deal to a friend I trusted. I went to counseling. Remember, this is all before days of the internet and instant information. I worked hard and I slowly changed. Do I still struggle? Yes. But now when I struggle, I tell myself, it's not okay to hurt someone. I have learned to take a deep breath, breathe out slowly to calm myself down. I use I words, not you words, I words, to say how I'm feeling and what I would like to happen. I ask for help when I'm stuck, when I just cannot see what's going on. And I now take time to cool down and have my own space. We've just celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary. I believe that because I actively chose to change my behavior, I actually helped us be able to celebrate that momentous number. Yet, after all these years of trying to do the right thing with my emotions, I still have PTSD, and it's disappointing. But the big difference is that I've learned how to quickly verbalize the feelings that I'm having and label my own emotions correctly. And I'm able to tell my husband what the best thing is that he can do for me. And over time, he's learned that he can't touch me when I'm in that place of extreme emotion, the red zone, shall we call it? And it gives me space to calm down. And when I've calmed down and I'm back in the green zone, a calm place, I ask him to hold me. So you see, dramatic change can happen when we understand our emotions and why we are reacting the way that we are. For many of us, learning how to correctly label our emotions is a marathon, not a sprint. We have to commit to the long haul and repeat healthy behavior over and over and over again until it sticks and becomes our more natural behavior. Calm and inner peace does come because learning to change our behavior is doing the right thing, and doing the right thing puts us in a place where God can bless us. I would like to read a portion of the Bible for you, to you. It's from 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 8 to 12, and I'm reading it in the Message translation. Although it's addressed to husbands, I think it applies equally to women. Verse 8 starts, summing up, be agreeable, be sympathetic, be loving, be compassionate, be humble. That goes for all of you, no exceptions, no retaliation, no sharp-tongued sarcasm. Instead, bless. That's your job, to bless. You'll be a blessing and also get a blessing. Whoever wants to embrace life and see the day fill up with good, here's what you do. Say nothing evil or hurtful. Snub evil and cultivate good. Run after peace for all you're worth. God looks on all this with approval, listening and responding well to what he's asked. But he turns his back on those who do evil. Wow, it's quite a challenge. Even with God's help, it's quite a challenge. Please subscribe and tell others if you found this vlog helpful. If this stirs things in you, please reach out and talk to someone. You may email me at Yaya at traumaandgod@gmail.com or read my personal story, Snakes in the Loo, at Amazon Books. Help is available at the following. Suicide and Crisis Helpline is 1-800-273-TALK. Rape, Abuse and Incest National Network website is 1-800-656-HOPE. It's also a Veterans Crisis Line, Substance Abuse and Mental Health helplines. God is for you, and so am I. I'll be back next week on Thursday at 10. Thanks so much for listening.